I'm Neil, and welcome to Dreaming of Chess Mastery, a YouTube channel that examines the world of adult chess improvement. This morning I played a particularly frustrating, galling game, rapid game, friendly. What I'm going to tell you about is nothing that I'm sure you haven't experienced. I played an okay sort of game. I was feeling a little frustrated in the game. And perhaps indications that my mind wasn't totally there. But at any rate, the position started to get a little tactical, and I made a move with an obvious idea, a bishop move, planning a check. It made a lot of sense in the position. And of course, at a certain point, my opponent made a mistake. And did I play the check that would have forced the win of his queen in 3 moves? No. I captured a pawn, a quite unnecessary pawn, for reasons that I can't pinpoint. Well, I kind of have a rough idea, but ridiculous. Now, I say frustrating and worse. Galling, I think, was the word I used, and it's the right word, because no sooner had I played the move I played than I realised exactly what I should have done. And we've all been there. You make a move, it's ridiculous, and then a move or two later you think, oh, why didn't I play that? It was so obvious. Well, it was so obvious, but obviously not so obvious that I immediately played it. And I guess that's the question to ask. And I've been looking at a number of my disappointments over the last month or two. And the vast majority of these games, there was a moment where I made an absolutely ridiculous sort of oversight. Not a blunder. I don't want to call them blunders. For me, blunders, certainly at my level, are much more of the, you just completely forgot to take a piece, to recapture a piece. In this case, it was a little different. It was a move. I'd seen the idea of the move beforehand, and I didn't play it. And I have to examine that quite carefully. Why? What's at the root of all of that? And the fact that one sees the move that you missed shortly afterwards, of course, doesn't help your cause. And I don't think the position was lost at that point, but probably having that in the back of my mind, and as my time ticked down, contributed to my later string of pitiful moves. And I think this is probably quite a general sort of thinking flaw. I think if you look at the stupid things we do all day long, they are things that if we just thought about them for a moment, or maintained the right sort of focus when making the decision, we wouldn't make those mistakes. And from that point of view, we have to, I think, really double down and redouble our efforts in trying to work out why we do that and how we can stop doing it. Eliminating it completely perhaps is impossible, but if I simply cut out the majority of these kinds of mistakes, I don't have to learn more about chess. I just have to start making the moves that I intended to make. Is that so hard? Well, evidently, yes, it is. And I think it points to a need to maintain clearer focus, to be more present in what we're doing. And I know I've spoken about this before, but it is quite obviously the key to my immediate improvement in chess. I mean, a tactical oversight is frustrating for me now, especially frustrating because I've just finished a cycle of the woodpecker method. I've completed, well, a couple of cycles. I've completed more than 500 reasonably, initially quite easy, but the first couple of hundred, the next 300, non-trivial tactical puzzles. And I've cycled through them 7 times to try and commit them to that sort of muscle memory type of visualization space in my mind. And every morning I do 3, my free allotment on chess.com, tactical puzzles, and my tactical rating there is around about, I suppose, the high 2,900s, peaking at 3,150. Obviously, that doesn't correspond to an ELO rating, but it's all the same a good puzzle rating for chess.com. So why doesn't that translate into eliminating these sorts of mistakes in games? Perhaps it's because the mistakes that I'm making are simpler oversights under more pressure of time and the stress of a real game. So that's what I need to investigate. First of all, how do you simulate that? And perhaps more interestingly, how do you minimize the factor of the stress of the game? How do you improve your time management? And this is obviously of critical importance. I don't think I'm overstating it, but I think my playing strength, which at the moment in these rapid games is 2,050, I have no doubt that if I developed a solid, focused way of thinking, my playing strength would increase 100 points very, very quickly. Because it's not knowledge or deeper issues that are costing me these points. In some of the games that I've lost, I lose, and I know, I can see where I've gone wrong. But these kind of losses that I'm talking about are ones where it's not just that I can see where I've gone wrong. They are absolutely unnecessary sorts of mistakes. They're not the mistakes that come about because you think you understand, but perhaps you don't understand as deeply as all that. And you can see the move when prompted. But if you see the move straight away in a game, it's not that you saw the move because the engine suggested it, or you saw the move because you were in the calm of a post-game analysis. I mean, you saw the move during the game. But your mind, actually, it points to another obvious dilemma. If you realize you made the mistake during the game, it means you are still thinking about that position. And that is the very crux of the problem. You are not fully present thinking about the move that is confronting you. You are thinking about what's gone before. You're thinking about what you hope will come to pass. But you're not totally in the moment. And I think this is the $1 million sort of thinking skill that we all need to work on. And it's certainly something that I've mentioned before in these vlogs. Yeah, but it's frustrating. I can still feel it, actually. I can feel a sort of aftertaste of bile, of stress hormones that you released. It's not nice. And I'd like to avoid that as far as possible. A lot to work on. Now, I am going to write in sort of more detail about the specific mistake, and I'll perhaps attach a link to that blog post in the description below. But I suppose I needed to get that off my chest because it doesn't feel good. And I think it's a feeling that we all have every day to a greater or lesser degree, where we've done something and on reflection and straight afterwards, boy, oh boy, that was a poor decision. Why did I make it? Why do I keep on making those sorts of decisions? And that's stuff that we have to work on. So that's it for today. I trust you're well, you're enjoying your chess or whatever else it is that you're doing. And until next week, ciao.